Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Marcus, and I will be presenting today with Ryan De La Rosa. Today, we are going to be learning about a very important law in Arizona called the SB 1014. It is also known as the Proposition 203, and we're going to be learning about how it changed the way English learners are taught. We'll also connect some learning theories and strategies that may help English learning and make some more engaging and successful strategies. So, moving on here. So, what is SB 1014? In the year 2000, Arizona voters passed this law, SB 1014, or the Proposition 10 or 203. This law created the Structured English Immersion, uh, also known as SEI. So this SEI model, it required English learners to receive at least 4 hours of English instruction every single day, every single school day. This focus was on a quickly building reading, writing, speaking, and listening skill in English. So students could quickly join that mainstream general education, especially at a young age, going into their older years. So a question for you. Why do you think that Arizona wanted students to learn English so quickly? Let you respond to that as we move to the next slide. So, why strategies matter? Helping these EL students succeed under the SB 1014 has been a very important matter here in Arizona. So, just following the law isn't enough. Teachers need to make learning a supportive, engaging, and meaningful environment. So, strategies like scaffolding lessons, connecting to students, culture, and using interactive methods to help English learners learn, this is really beneficial. So another question I have would be, what do you think might be hard about learning English for 4 hours a day if it isn't your first language? What do you think might be some of those challenges? I'll let you kind of think about that as we move on to the next slide. So, kind of connecting that theory to practice in the behaviorism and everything, there is a lot of behaviorism in language learning theory that says that people learn best through repetition and reinforcement, as well as habit formation through practices. So, total physical response, also known as TPR. This is when students respond to language with physical actions, such as, standing up, pointing out, acting out, vocabulary words. This makes words easier to remember, and it's a lower stress, lower anxiety, and it kind of increases engagement more if it's more of like a fun, um, like a game type thing, something that just really grabs the attention. So, students, if I say jump, what should you do? Jump. But it kind of gives you that, okay, in a classroom setting, hey, I'm going to say jump. What are you going to do? You're going to jump. If we keep this repetition up, you're going to know, hey, if I need everyone to be quiet, I'm going to say jump, everyone jumps, and we're all on the same page. So, with that being said, with that total physical response, there's also total physical response storytelling, or TPRS. Now, this builds on TPR but uses stories with repetition and gestures. So, maybe lessons, so some more fun, creative, more memorable activities. It again helps lowers that anxiety because stories are really fun. They're really engaging. So, what's more fun, memorizing a list of words or learning them through a funny story? So, while you were thinking about that, let us move to the last slide I have for you here. So, behaviorism connection to TPR. Like I kind of mentioned previously, that repetition and reinforcement, using those correct responses, and then when when using correct responses, I want to give positive feedback. As teachers and educators, we want to give you that positive reinforcement, that positive feedback, and show you that support and show you that excitement, because our goal is to help you get to the best version of yourself. Make sure that you are getting to where you need to be as a learner. So, forming those habits of formation through practice. So, in an SEI classroom, teachers use this by having students repeat English phrases, giving them positive feedback and helping them practice through English. It becomes more automatic, more natural. So, can you think of something you got better at just by practicing over and over again? Think about it. I know I always think about, um, for example, with me, math. I was never good at math, but doing addition and subtraction flashcards over and over again with my mom at the kitchen table every night really just benefited me and got me to where I needed to be. So, to help EL students, succeed, lessons should really be interactive and helped connect students to that cultural background, give them opportunities to voice and to have that choice. This is the way that English isn't just a subject, it's a tool that students can use in real life. But thank you so much for listening to me. I'm going to go ahead and pass it along now to Ryan. But I hope you guys all have a great day. Thank you
Thank you,
again.
Katie, for passing it on. Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan. I'm going to be focusing on the second part of the presentation. So, for strategy 4, our focus is going to be visual scaffolding. Now, in visual scaffolding, our main focus is to use things like pictures, graphic organizers, and diagrams to help elevate comprehension in our students. Now, we do this in order to help make more abstract concepts visible to learners who otherwise have never been exposed to grade level content. Now, usually it is normal to use visual elements in regular classrooms as most students are visual learners due to an increasingly technological world. However, these visual designs allow for us to better accommodate learners who haven't necessarily been exposed to more abstract concepts. This allows for the eventual connection of words to meaning. All in all, this strategy is instrumental in connecting us to our next topic. Now, our next topic is the connection to behaviorism. This topic reinforces that visual element of the past strategy by incorporating visual cues into reinforced language patterns. By guiding learners, we are able to reciprocate which language associations are correct. When students accurately follow these cues, this causes what is called positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement rewards learners through instructor praise, causing positive recurring behavior both in language use and classroom behavior. Now, this sort of serves as a one stone for two birds by allowing progress in language development and by enhancing social awareness both in the classroom and out. Now, this is a key element that is crucial for educators to implement in their classrooms, as students with culturally diverse backgrounds may not be up to par with the jargon or body language necessary to express themselves in a new environment. Now, how do we transition from visual aids to a more nuanced classroom instruction? We have a variety of command-based instructions whose goal it is to create a reaction in students. This could be as simple as playing a game of Simon Says, where instructors familiarize students with the task of touching their nose or rubbing their belly. Games like these are usually nostalgic for students who have seen repeated use of this method. Even games such as Duck Duck Goose, where students transition into playing a physical game with other students. This gets students used to 1, playing with other kids, and 2, interpreting social cues to keep the flow of the activity. The end goal of TPR and TPRS is to get students acquainted with commands so that they know how to respond to instruction that leads to integrated content area. This is the end-all be-all for this strategy, the eventual implementation of content area. A couple of examples I like to use are things like pointing to the sun on a solar map or show me 4 fingers. These are visible things that don't necessarily require an advanced background knowledge. This goes hand in hand with the past visual elements that we so stressed. Combining these instructive methods with that visual element to make sure learners have a clear understanding of what is the task and what is the answer. Especially with English learners, it is crucial for a student to be able to see what is at hand first before working it out in their second language. Educators tend to forget that there are things students may not have been exposed to, and that is perfectly normal. Educators are there to bridge the gap of the unknown to that student's knowledge base. Again, closing gaps cannot be done without first establishing that command or authority through polite and cordial avenues like the games we talked about in the beginning. This leads us into our next point, the demo of visual scaffolding. Now, in order to enhance learning, many of the things that we use that we said in prior slides was things like videos, pictures, chats, charts, graphic organizers, and what I really like to stress is the two part of asking and building. Now, in order for students to transition to more complex concepts, it's key to first ask what something is and then build upon whatever you ask them to ponder or question. And this developmental phase is key for preparing students because, like we said, many of them haven't necessarily been exposed to many of the topics that we are going to be talking about. Now, one example that I always stress is asking students or showing students an image and then asking them, what is this? So, for example, we'll show a picture of an apple to a student and we'll say, what is this? And the student will be, well, this is an apple, obviously, right? Um, or you can show them pictures of more complex concepts and then have them break it down, whether in groups or individually. And I think this is key to um, allowing students to be able to visualize ideas that they haven't come across, right?